Yo, what's going on, people? And boy, do I have a good sample to show you today. The sample that you probably heard is going to be a breakdown of like a vintage 80s R&B sample, but this sample sort of reminds me of a sample that Kanye would use in one of his beats, so I thought I'd just break it down and I'll show you the process I did. And if you haven't subscribed, you know what to do. Hit that down below and let's get straight into the video. So when trying to make these sort of samples, I have an idea of how to structure the chords. I just have variations, lots of voicing, and I just like play around with like the passing notes and like the position of notes that like bounce into the next chord. So as you can notice here, I've just got minors, majors, and they're just got voicing and inversions. And as you can see, I just like to just change around like where they placed in the like chord. So I have this preset on Analog Lab called the R&B Road. And what I like about this sort of sound is I used it sort of more as like an atmospheric vibe. So the first thing I used on this was just the chorus to just give that nice chorus sound. There's just a casual reverb, but I brought the mix down a lot because it was very like drowned out as it is. And then I used this single delay to give it like a weird warpness, and it just gives it like another chorusy sound when you use like a fast delay. And then just to make more space in the whole sample, I just added this pan man. So it just goes left to right just to feed in pockets and give more air. So next I wanted to get like a rhythm, and I used like a whirly piano that just sounds like this. And what I like about the piano is quite low, but it gives that nice gloomy sound. So what I've done with this, I just put reels on it, lower the harsh and the flutter just to have that vinyl tape on it. A tiny reverb that doesn't need to be crazy, and just EQ. Then I've layered it with another preset on the whirly bank, and it just sounds like this. And all I did was that, again, just the reels. Then I used another chorus, which gives it a little bit more width and just makes it stand out a little bit. And then just a reverb EQ. Then I use this dual delay, which is just hitting in different pockets at different seconds at different like times. And what I like about using that delay, it just gives it extra bounce to the flavor of the sample. But they sound like this together. So next I wanted to add extra bounce onto the electric piano that I already just added. So I use this Demon Jacket Stratosphere guitar, and what I like about this is just brings in that nice flavor to the whole sample overall. So with the melody of this, I just add little tiny stop notes so it just wasn't playing out too much, but has that nice cool rhythm, not like 80s rhythm. And what I did to get this really cool 80s sound, I just used this wire from the guitar rig in waves, and just a little bit of speed and sensitivity. And then just to make it not sound too dry, just a tiny bit of room reverb and an EQ just to level up the frequencies. So once I had that, I just wanted to add extra bounce just with the bass. So I added another bass guitar, and I've sort of placed these off the grid so it just has that natural rhythm. And that just fits in perfect with the whole overall bounce. And all I've really done is that, just a EQ where I've just took out a lot of highs, so I just had the pure bass. Next I added this Mellotron flute that just plays on the chords and just has a single note. And all I've done in that is just a tiny reverb no decay whatsoever really, and I'll just turn the size down so it's just a natural flute, and then a shaper box which just pan it left to right so it has rhythm and just space. Next I added these vocals from Splice that sound like this, and they're higher BPM, but I've just brought them down so they give that a weird effect. So it sounds like this. And as you can see here, the delay, it comes in the last bit and just gives that weird warped effect. So for that, to have that effect, I've just put a 1/16 single delay, and it just gives it a weird like warpness to it, and just plays out very long, but it's short and sweet because how the delay is played. So for the make vocal chain, before I use that delay, I just added EQ and just tiny reverb, nothing too crazy, just to make it like a boxy sort of reverb sound. After that, I've added these perk loops, and I just chopped little bits up of a different perk loop so it wasn't too crazy. So for certain parts of the sample, I just brought in this string section, which gives a sort of like a cool, distinct sound and fits the mood and gives it just a build up. And then with these strings, I've just put on a heavy reverb, very high decay, just a little bit of mix. And then I've just took out some of that high so it wasn't too complicated, and just brought it a lot down in the mix, so it just builds atmosphere in the background rather than it just being in your face. Then now I just added this accent note from Mellotron. And that's like a bell pluck sound that just fits in perfect with the mood of the sample. And then with this sound, I just left it dry and no effects on it whatsoever. Then at the end, I used this stage 73 electric piano called the Precipitation Report EP, and I layered that with a Mellotron like bell keys, and this is how they sound together. And that fits in nicely because it's higher frequencies, higher tone, and just fits in different tastes at the end of the sample. So again, just the reels, just give it that nice gritty vinyl like saturation. Then again, just a little bit of room reverb, and then EQ as usual. And this is what the sample sounds like together. Yeah, that's the whole sample all together. It came out beautiful, definitely something Kanye would always use on his old stuff. So yeah, if you like this video, you know what to do. I'm going to be doing more vintage stuff. I know people like that. So yeah, subscribe, like down below, follow my Instagram that's going to be on the screen, and hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one, people.